Welcome to the Future Jam. I'm Mike, and as always, I'm here with Alex, or Uncle Al, some people call him.
As always now, it used to just be, again, I'm here with Alex, if he's still can. So, as always now?
All right, and I mean, you could get hit by a car theoretically or something like that, so we'll just make it a temporal thing.
No,
Alex,
you said as always, so I feel like this is like now like Facebook official. I am in a relationship with the Future Jam.
well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that on you.
No, we haven't had this talk yet, but this is like the talk that people have together. We're officially a podcast couple.
You're gonna change your status on your Facebook profile?
Yes, because it says I'm married, so now it'll be, it's complicated because I'm married to my wife and then I'm married to my podcast.
Have you ever seen anybody in real life change their profile to "it's complicated"?
You get like the young like kid drama, or like the people in like their 40s that are going through like a divorce and all, and
have like no clue like what the implications of changing that to complicated would be, because people are just going to be thinking like, this guy does not have his life together if he thinks his relationship's complicated. God, man, like try going to McDonald's and ordering off the menu.
So you compare like being in a relationship that's complicated to ordering off a menu at McDonald's. Well, really, a lot of times you just have to pick a number.
Well, yeah. Both equally complicated.
Is that why anytime we went out to lunch together, you're like, oh, I need to see the menu ahead of time. So like you were prepared and that's all you did for like 20 minutes before we got there?
I do like pre-reading menus because I get excited about what I'm going to eat and then get let down almost immediately after I order whatever I get. Because most of the time, things don't ever live up to the descriptions on the menu, honestly.
That's true.
But it doesn't. But you know what does live up to? This doesn't. That segue doesn't work.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to get into it? You know what? Keep it in. You know what always lives up to the hype? Dumb tech of the week.
There we go. That's what I meant to say. And our first dumb tech of the week is Apple. You know, they have the number one selling phone each year, and sometimes they do dumb stuff with it. And this year, they introduced a magnetic charger on the back for some reason, just to sell more accessories and stop people's hearts. I think somebody who works for them wants to kill old people.
So I actually reached out to what Mike is talking about. Apple released a statement warning people not to get their iPhones 12s too close to their heart. So that's what like the big news. You see headlines like, oh, your iPhone will kill you and all. So I reached out to my pacemaker friend who's in the business. And
Okay.
I do have he works for a big company.
Big pace.
Yeah, but he's like the guy who, like, when they put it in the person, he's the person who has to calibrate it, make sure it's working on, like, the technology end. So he, like, monitors them and makes sure everything is correct. So he was saying, like, this has been a thing since smartphones were invented, that they've always warned not to keep your phone by your heart if you have a pacemaker. So it's always been a thing. But he was saying now the magnets in these phones are getting stronger and stronger. And what it does, it doesn't like mess up your pacemaker. What it does is it just keeps it like moving. So if your pacemaker, what it does, if like your heart stops, then it starts working, but like it keeps it pumping. So if your heart stops and your phone is near your heart, it's still going to keep the pacemaker moving. So it's not going to shock you like it's supposed to.
Gotcha. But yeah, these I guess the magnets are so strong that you can't hold it within 6 inches away from your heart. So that's pretty close.
Well, I guess the only time I can see myself using it is when I'm taking pictures of my heart. I mean, I take pictures of my chest. But like, I like to lay in bed and watch something on my phone. Heart. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Well, like I watch stuff on my at night on my chest.
Yeah, but it's like they don't think through everything when they release these phones. I don't know if they're even going to care about putting out like changes to the design at all. They're probably just going to slap a warning label on there, just like cigarettes do, and just be done with it. But yeah, they've done stuff like this in the past. Like they had the antenna on the outside of the phone at one point, and if you held the phone wrong, it would drop the phone call. So, there's always little weird quirks that slip by the design team, but...
Well, it's like something like you don't think about. Like, it's just something like no one's going to mind this. Like when they had that, like people were having complaints about the 3 camera holes on the back.
Yeah. But the thing is they kind of released the news story about it, so I'm kind of wondering if somebody did die because of this, and they're keeping it quiet because, I think they're paying them Apple money.
Maybe. But yeah, definitely just trying to get the word out to say, hey, we warned you not to do this.
Well, speaking of dumb company, I mean, not dumb companies, but yeah, we'll call them dumb companies. But speaking of big companies that make dumb decisions, Microsoft made a big announcement that they're increasing the cost of Xbox Live by almost double. And then 2 days later, or less than 2 days later, they retracted that and decided to keep the price the same. And on top of that, made gaming free for certain types of games, so you don't even have to buy Xbox Live anymore. So not only did they make an about face, they made some things cheaper. So what's going on there, Alex? It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, did they do this on purpose, you think?
No, I think they're putting a lot of money in the Xbox. And like Xbox Live is for you to play online. And they also have the Xbox Live Gold. And what Microsoft's doing is just trying to become like a streaming service for video games. So you pay like a monthly fee and then you have all these games that they have. And they're trying to promote that. But when they raise the price, and people were just upset. And like they're still right now in that console war with the PS5. So PlayStation has like their set price, and if you're trying to catch this off, like right now you still have to compete with the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So like you have to compare their prices, and if they're worried about people like, oh, they jumped the price off of this so much, I'm just going to get the PlayStation 5. And then the other thing I didn't realize is like games like Fortnite and Apex Legends and Halo Infinite are free games online. But like for the Xbox, you had to pay to play those games on their system. You can play them free on PC. You can play them free on the PS5. So they just announced like now you can play them free on Xbox. I think there was enough backlash. Like we're still in the middle of this console fight. We have to just make people happy.
My theory is they were hoping that nobody would probably gripe or notice the change that much. I think they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to push people to their Game Pass Ultimate, which includes the gold subscription and all that. So I think they're trying to do that, but inadvertently like made it so a lot of lower income people might not be able to afford gaming anymore, or it hurt people that might not want to pay for that, because Ultimate's $15 a month, and so that's a decent price increase. So I don't know. I guess they just didn't think it through, and I guess they probably wanted to eventually fade gold away and just force people to do Game Pass. But I guess they're going to keep it around at least for now.
Yeah, what you're saying makes sense. I think they definitely want to get people off gold, and because this streaming service is kind of like the big move. This is like, hey, you can play all these games for free. Not for free. It's kind of it's just a streaming service. It's like Netflix. You have all these shows you can watch. Like you're gonna have all these games you can play for this one set price.
It's a really good deal. I did the trial on my PC because you could do Game Pass on PC and Xbox, and it's a really good deal. I'm not really into a lot of the Microsoft games, so I played what I liked and then I canceled it. But you get like hundreds of games with it, so.
The issue is that it's still new. So people that see this as like an add-on that they're not, I don't think a lot of people understand what they're getting with it. So I do think Microsoft was trying to phase out Xbox Live, but how long has that been a thing? Since what? The 360
a long time.
maybe?
I think since the 360, I believe.
So like
they're trying to move to a new generation, a new system, and consolidate.
Like, the smart thing would have been to combine them ahead of time before they just increase the price. Just like, hey, we're moving up the price, but you're getting the new package with it.
It just sounds like to me that they don't have it all fully thought out yet, and they're still testing the waters and trying to figure out like what works best, so that way they can compete with Sony, because Sony still is beating them even in this generation with the amount of systems they've sold. So they're still playing catch up. They played catch up all last generation. They're probably in a better position now than they've ever been, but decisions like this probably are a good thing, because they're going back on something that a lot of people were hating. So, dumb tech of the week, but also smart tech of the week, I guess.
And I think now companies are realizing when you have kind of like a small outrage like that, listening to the people, because they can always go back and change this in a couple months. But
I've seen that happen more than once.
People like to think that they have a way to change companies, and if like companies are listening to their fans, and I think it's just like this is kind of a smart PR move to like back off it, because so many people outraged.
Yeah, if they raise the price by a lot, they'll go back, but then they'll more incrementally raise the price as opposed to like a bigger increase. But our next dumb tech of the week, I put this on here because I think
I don't agree with it at all. I think this is the greatest thing of all time.
In Korea, they decided to roll out robots at car dealerships. So it's like a greeting robot that it's called dal-e, dal-e. So I guess that's how you pronounce it, but it greets you at the door.
I don't know if it was like Dale or dal-e, like kind of like Wally, or Daily. I don't know. I want to call him Dale.
Yeah. They said it's really friendly looking, and it's humanoid enough, but not too human to be weird. It has wheels. It doesn't walk. And it asks you to take selfies with it. But outside of taking selfies and checking your face to see if you're wearing a mask, it has like a mask warning system on it. I don't see what it's going to do. Like, I don't see what the benefit of this is.
So they, first off, let's say dal-e stands for Drive You, Assist You, Link You, Experience is what it stands for. No, so like I think it's just because like some people are still afraid of like human interaction with the pandemic going on. So it's something to greet you. There's a touchscreen on the top of its head. So if you see a car you like, you can learn more information about it by clicking on that, and it can also.
Can't you just do that with your smartphone, Alex?
Yeah, but would you? Okay, if you're in the situation looking at a new car, I can tap this cool looking futuristic robot, or I'm gonna pull out my phone. What would you do?
I might mess with the robot.
You're messing with the robot. Don't lie to me. You're messing with the robot.
Well, because at hotels when they did the robot concierge service where they'd bring like drinks to your room with a robot, if I was ever at a hotel that offered that, I would use it. So okay, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's kind of cool. But I don't see it'll wear off, and it doesn't really do anything besides what your smartphone does.
It's like they say, I can show you around the showroom. I think it's not a bad idea. Like if they get busy or something like that, or if like you're interacting with another client, you have something that can just go up and interact and start like the process of showing people cars.
I guess in Korea, maybe they like robots a lot more than they do here. Because Samsung's from Korea and they always have all those weird household robots. So maybe it's just a cultural thing where they're just in love with robots over there.
I think people in America like robots. We just don't interact with them that much.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. You would never let me bring it up on the podcast that robots are getting sexier and sexier. I think it's a problem.
Yeah, you left a voicemail once and you tried to force me to play it on the old show, and I'm like, I don't know what this means, but no, it's not going to happen.
Well, now it's the long con that I got myself on the show so I can bring it up on the show.
Yeah. Almost every day you text me like, robots are getting sexier, Mike.
Robots are stealing our women and men.
I mean, 5-10 years from now, who knows what robots are going to do? You saw that dancing video of the robots dancing, right?
No.
The company that makes the robot dog and the...
I saw the headline. I didn't click on it.
It was amazing. It would have blown your mind. You would have been like, I am not an adequate person. I can't dance as well as this robot. So you'd feel obsolete just watching that video, honestly.
Well, I can dance if I want to. I can leave my friends behind. My friends don't dance, and if they don't dance. Want to go over to the next topic?
Yeah. After that, let's hop on to the next one. This is a kind of a big story. I didn't see it at first. You kind of brought it to my attention. Google maybe is leaving Australia. That's a big headline. I don't know if it's true. I don't think it's probably going to end up being true, but that's the talk from down under.
Well, yeah, Google threatened to leave. I think them and Facebook, but Google's like the bigger one right now that is threatening to leave because 90 to 95% of searches in Australia are Google searches. So what's going on is the Australian government is trying to pass a law that search engines have to pay news companies to post like stories and like their searches. So if you search,
are robots getting sexier?
Yeah, and like news stories comes up, Google has to pay these companies for their news stories. So reading more about it, I was kind of like, that's stupid. But then it's like, reading more about it is like, because these news companies usually sell paper and all, and their ad revenue is so down because of the internet, and Google's ad revenue is so high because of the internet. So they said like ads for newspapers are down 15%. So it's the Australian government trying to take care of these like news outlets.
The failing news outlets, yeah.
Yeah, but like it kind of goes against the whole principle of the internet.
It does, but let me float this at you. So Google does a lot of things behind the scenes that a lot of people don't realize happens. So when you search something on your phone, Alex, like in the Google search app or, any of the other apps, there's a website version called AMP. Have you heard of AMP at all?
The energy drink?
No, not the energy drink, but basically what AMP stands for is it's an optimized for mobile web browsing experience. So basically what it does is it optimizes a website for a mobile phone so it looks better and displays better, but it's an actual like new type of web page. So basically Google is redirecting people to these AMP pages that the company still has to make and keep up, but Google has like more ad revenue from those, and sites have less autonomy over them. So like they might not be able to capture somebody's email address for mailing list or subscription, stuff like that. So basically Google's keeping them in their app as opposed to actually going to the company's website. They're going to like a small portable website called an AMP webpage. And what's funny is for this show, you send me links sometimes and they're AMP links. So those aren't the actual webpage. They're a webpage designed just for a phone, and Google gets more of the profits or more of the like control over it.
Yeah, so I think that's like a big part of why it's not, even though Australia is going hard against it, but the EU also passed the law that these companies have to work with. I know Google just made a deal with France to be able to put news articles on. So like, but like going back, I see why like it should be a law. Like Google, like especially if Google's doing that. I don't know whatever happened to Google's message of "Don't be evil."
Yeah, they that was when they first started, and they've kind of grown so big that it's almost impossible not to be evil at the size they're at.
But like the internet was originally designed as to be like free, open information, and like these search engines were supposed to just be like, hey, if somebody's searching for something, they can find you through these search engines, but Google's finding a way to make more money off that and like Google like. And I know like it takes time to program all that stuff in the search engines, but they're not the ones putting these articles and news information together and all. So maybe these news outlets should get more money.
I think they should, yeah, because there's not really a way. Like, I don't know how any of these news outlets make any money at all. Like, I don't understand because again, like when you do search, a lot of times there's the headline and then there's a quick blurb of the story. And a lot of people probably just grab that headline and the quick blurb and don't even visit the website. So, yeah, I just see it as a lose almost for the news organizations because basically they're having to like play kowtow to Google, like.
Yeah, and that's what Google's just kind of trying to throw their weight around, saying, "Hey, we're pulling out of your country."
And every country is afraid to like pass laws against Google because they're so powerful. Like Australia's hoping they don't even know if it'll pass. First off, but they're hoping that this will spark a revolution where countries in Europe will start passing these.
Well, the EU
and America and.
Well, the U.S. is like firmly against it. And I also think that's because these are U.S. companies.
Yeah, the EU has, like, I don't think they have this exact ruling, but I think they're trying to push something similar.
It's a copyright law that they have right now, and I think it's easier to work around because Google has to, if this law passes, Google has to make deals with each news outlet or they'll go to a forced arbitrator to determine how much Google has to pay these companies.
So, a weird aside is I noticed a news story the other day about, like if you go to like a lot of these news websites, they want to charge you a subscription cost now to read the news story. So Google is now like saying that if you use the Google like search, like mobile search, that you will not have to pay that fee anymore. You'll be able to read the articles in their search. So I'm not sure if they are making deals with these news organizations so you don't have to pay, or if they're going to eventually do like what Apple does and charges like a once a month fee, and then you get access to these story providers. I don't know what they're doing, but they claim it's free for now, but I'm not sure when it's starting or if it already has.
Yeah, I can see them doing it for free and then charging for it eventually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because when Apple released their Apple News, a lot of news organizations were pushing back against it because they're like, well, this is way less than what we'd make off of ad revenue, but we kind of have to take it because this is the only option we have. So Apple News was a ripoff to news organizations as well, and probably the only way that news organizations would make money off of it is if they had like everybody in America signed up for it.
Yeah, and then I don't think news organizations are powerful enough anymore.
No.
Because Apple has done that in the past when they did Apple Music, and I know she got a lot of hate for it. But when Apple Music had to like, oh, you get a 3 months trial for like $3, and it turns out they weren't paying their like the artists for like the songs for like that 3 months, and Taylor Swift said no, and like she like you need somebody like, and that was like the big thing with Metallica and Napster. Like they look like the bad guys, but in the long run they are protecting like the artist.
It's true. Like there's some industries they have not figured out yet for the internet age. Like music, sure, it might sound like these artists are making money, but like with these music apps, no, smaller artists are being ripped off. They're not making anywhere near what they used to be able to make. So same with news organizations. We're going to have to figure out maybe new rules or new laws, or maybe figure out different methods for these companies to make money, or they might just go away and stop making music or stop making as many news stories, and there'll be more fake news providers. That's all we need, yeah? But
yeah, we can talk about this topic for a while.
Oh yeah, it could go on. I mean, there's so many asides and so many different like nuanced things with it. But let's jump into our next news story. And I think Sundance Film Festival is going on right now, or is about to start. And they're doing an interesting thing this year because they can't have it in person because of COVID. So they're doing a VR festival, which is, I think that's a kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah, so it's what, $25, and you get in like this virtual world. You can either use like the virtual VR headsets that you have, or you can just sign on with your PC. And it's kind of just like a virtual experience, like chat room, and you can walk around, and they have different things going on. You can interact with people. There's a cocktail space. There's a film party room. Then you can watch some like 5 specials for free. And like they have a New Frontier Gallery. I guess it's like a
art
thing.
Installations and all that stuff in there. Yeah.
And they have like 14 exhibits you can go to.
It's a cool idea, and I think I read somebody who got early access, and they said that it was pretty similar to other VR experiences where you can interact with other users and kind of talk with people or kind of just view what they have to offer. They got a bunch of artists to do different things in there, so you can kind of, I guess, see different like rooms and spaces and installations. They're not showing any movies. I wish they would have shown like the actual like full length movies in there. That would have been really cool.
You can sign up still for like movies if they're not like sold out, and you can watch them through the virtual experience. So it like makes it seem like you're in a theater, or you can just watch it normally.
But it's not included. They said it wasn't like
it's not included in I think this package.
They're like separate tickets or something you have to buy. Oh, okay.
But this would be cool for like people that have always wanted to, like in the future too. Like if you wanted to go to Sundance, they can still have the live thing, but you could do a virtual Sundance too from your house. Like if you really wanted to go.
What would be neat though, Alex, is instead of it being like a 3D world that they created, somebody generated, when there's actually people who can be there in person again, maybe have like little wheelie robots where you could VR into and like the little camera there. We have one of those at work. We could steer around and drive and see like what's going on. And that would be cool if you could go to a festival through the eyes of like a robot or something like that and not actually have to get sick or,
travel there or
you travel there. You can experience a lot of the stuff, but then also like, still go to work or, do your normal stuff you have to do.
Yeah, I think you're going to see more and more like VR experiences for like these big conferences. So like when E3 comes back or San Diego Comic-Con comes back, I think you're going to see like, oh, this is our virtual reality aspect to it, and have stuff online for people who can't get there that want to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. And as VR glasses get cheaper and cheaper, I think you can get some good ones now for $200. More people will have access to it and smartphone apps, all of that. So I think the more people have access to it, the more common this will become. I'm excited for sports, and my main thing is sports for that.
You want to be like in the huddle?
Yeah, I want to be in the huddle. I mean, any new added tech to sports is exciting. Like I noticed that watching the NFL playoff games that they were using a new camera for some of the game footage, and I'm like, this looks a lot nicer than it used to be. And I went on Twitter and I noticed that they're actually using a different camera, and that's why it looks different.
I think Fox was trying it out.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkably. I mean, it's a small like camera, but it does a really good job.
Well, I think we might be doing a special sports technology episode next week for the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, teaser. Next week is the sports technology podcast.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, is that next week or the week after?
Yeah, the Super Bowl is next weekend. Okay,
all right. All right, let's jump to our next story, Alex, and that's I said before that we're going to start covering some more car technology stuff just because it's starting to become like more and more ubiquitous. But there's actually a company that has developed a car battery that can charge in 5 minutes, and it's something they can manufacture at scale. It looks like they've already made 1,000 samples on an actual production line. Where a lot of these news stories about weird car battery technology, it's all stuff that is theoretical but not like scalable yet. But this looks like it's something that's scalable and you can build out like mass produce.
Yeah, is it called StoreDot?
Yeah, StoreDot. It's a company that's I think it's Israeli owned, but it's they're producing these in China.
Yes. So, yeah, so this is like everything I was reading, like, this is batteries are good now. Like, the question is, like, I was reading, the question now isn't can these batteries work? Can they go long distance? The question has moved to how fast can we get them to charge? That's like the big next hurdle for these.
Yeah.
And five minutes has always been like the dream. But right now, like these 5 minute charges, they need a higher powerful charger than what is standardly available now. The
Yeah.
goal is by 2025 to have batteries on the normal chargers that can go 100 miles on a 5 minute charge. So like that's like the dream, but like with these like 5 minute charges, like it's coming, like it's going to be the same as just filling up your gas tank.
Well, I mean, I'd be fine with just 10 or 15 minutes. Honestly, 5 minutes is really nice, but I think most people would be fine with 10, 15 because you could charge at your home.
Yeah, you can charge at your home, but I still think people would want like, oh, I have to wait 15 minutes. I could have filled up my gas tank in 2. So I think like 5 minutes is probably what they saw was the average time for somebody to fill up their tank.
Yeah.
And it's like what they're trying to hit.
Well, my worry is, though, to fill up a battery that fast, it produces a lot more heat. And I'm just thinking about the wear and tear of the battery, like the longevity. So sure, they've proven that they can produce a battery that charges in 5 minutes that meets all the standards of lithium-ion technology. So they've already like brought it to like the consortium that I guess approves batteries.
I was in the article we were reading said for a battery to be worth it, it has to at least get like 500 charges.
Yeah.
Before like, and then they said the ones can do 1,000, and then after 1,000, it still shows like 80% of the initial battery power.
Yeah.
So like they're getting there, and I was looking at it. They also said they're working with BP to redo like their gas stations to add electrical charge. Yeah. So like even like gas companies are seeing that the change is coming.
Yeah, it's coming. It's gonna happen faster than everybody thinks. Like this is a 5 minute charging battery, but 10 years from now, there's probably going to be another better technology even than that. So we're just on the cusp of what's going to change, and I think there's going to be a huge slew of electrical cars available, like by 2020 or by 2030. So.
Yeah, and then when those cars come out, we can talk about them on our new messaging application that we're going to be using.
Yeah, Beeper, which was a annoying device, beepers, but probably a good chat app. It's probably the first universal chat app that I've seen that includes iMessage.
Yeah, so Beeper is this communication app that's taking all your chats, your Slack, your Facebook Messenger, your regular messaging, Twitter, and putting them all together in an interface that you can keep track of everything that's on this one application.
Yeah, because it's annoying to check tons of different apps just to see because I can never remember, like, where's this conversation going? Because I have some conversations with friends that are on, like, Facebook, on regular text. Some are on GroupMe. Some are on all sorts of chat apps. So this is the dream to have it all in one.
Yeah, so there's 15 different companies that they can use. And it's a $10 per month subscription service.
Yeah. But you haven't said the kicker yet, Alex. You haven't said the kicker yet. So the kicker is it includes iMessage support, which everybody has been dreaming of since the invention of the iPhone. iMessage support on all phones, and I love the way they're doing it. It's awesome.
So, so you have to have an Apple product to use iMessenger. So if you don't, and you have like an Android, what they do is they send you an old like iPhone 4S that recycled that you can use as like a mediator between it and get it on your Beeper app using that.
That's a brilliant idea. Like the developer of the app tweeted out that he had like 150 iPhone 4s sitting on his desk right now, ready to go. He said, "Hey, anybody who signs up for this service, just let me know. I'll send you an iPhone 4S. I don't know what the price is, but He's just shipping these out to people. They can use it as the mediator so they can get iMessages on their Android or the computer or wherever, honestly.
Know what this like app reminds me of is from The Office, the Wolf. He designs that. You can get your Facebook, Twitter.
I do remember
email,
that. Yeah.
all together. This is what the Beeper reminds me of. But like again, it's a $10 a month subscription, and like right now you have to be invited on. It's not used by a lot of people, but the goal is that you will just use the Beeper as your messaging.
So yeah, they have their own messaging service on inside a Beeper. I don't remember what it's called. I have to look, but they are hoping that you'll just get so in love with Beeper that you'll just switch to their messaging service and just forget about the other ones.
This is like something that I don't think I would ever get because I only use like text message really to contact people. I don't really use Facebook Messenger or anything like that. So,
but aren't you on Android and don't a lot of your family members have iMessage, or do they care if you're texting them via iMessage or text message?
I'm trying to think. I think only my parents are the only ones that have iPhones left.
Really? So all your brothers have converted over to Androids?
Trying to think. Yeah, I think my brother has the Google Pixel 3. He had an iPhone. And then my wife's moved over to the Google Pixel.
It's just because it's so much cheaper to buy
it's cheaper,
Android
and
phones.
then I had that. Yeah, and like you have just a lot more options. I mean, I like my iPhone, and then Apple screwed me over, and then they were dead to me. So
I mean, every company has had their qualm. You know, I could have a qualm with almost every type of company imaginable, probably.
not Gateway.
Yeah, you love your Gateway computers, but they're making knockoff gateways now available only at Walmart, and it's made by some shady Chinese company, probably.
It's not the same.
No, it's not the same. But yeah, I like the Beeper idea, but like you, I probably don't need it, and $10 a month.
If it was like a free app, yeah, I can definitely see like people getting on board with it, but all these messaging services are free, so why am I paying something?
You're paying for the convenience of grouping it all into one app. So yeah. I don't know if that's worth it to you or not, but I think it'd feel like I'd have to test out this app because I feel like it'd be pretty jumbled and like a pretty big mess because it'd probably just have them all categorized in there, and it'd still probably be confusing, honestly. But
yeah, I saw some of the interface, and just like you're searching through, and I don't know.
I'm all about like the way app looks and works. So if it doesn't work the way I'd like it to, I'd probably drop it pretty fast. Like I searched forever for a weather app, and I finally found one, but it's impossible to find like common apps that you would want to use. Let's jump onto our next story, and I'm not going to read all the specifics about it. I'll post the notes in the show notes, just like all the other stories. But I found this interesting just because I've always thought it would be a thing eventually, and basically scientists have made a invisible solar panel, and by that mean not a solar panel that doesn't exist. Like, hey, I got a solar panel here. No, it's like glass solar panel, like a window.
Yeah, it just looks like a window. It looks, it was invented by a Korean professor, John Dong Kim. And they just created an invisible solar panel. You can be this really environmental friendly. I don't understand like the science behind what they did, but
yeah, a lot of big words we don't probably won't be able to pronounce.
But like this could be big. Like it does just look like a plane of glass.
Yeah.
And like,
well, yeah, I mean the implications of this is a lot bigger than you could ever like imagine. So every house has windows, every building has windows, every car has windows. Your phone has glass. Pretty much anything you can think of has windows or glass on it. So if you can take all that surface space and generate energy out of it, then that's a lot of extra energy. You don't have to put solar panels on your roof. You can generate power from your windows.
Yeah, especially just think about like the giant skyscrapers downtown in any city. Like if you can put these in and make them work on those buildings and all, like and they just work as normal glass. It's gonna
Yeah,
be.
that has very huge implications. The thing they have to get right is obviously you don't want the solar cells to die fast, so you don't want to have to replace the glass all the time. So you don't want it to become like an environmental hazard. Probably won't provide as much power as a standard solar panel because it's clear. But I mean, there's a lot of surface area there again, so it's probably better than not having solar panels on your windows.
And this is just the future, like the beginning of this like type of technology. They're gonna get better, and
yeah. But the headline is smart. Basically, they're saying, "Oh, you can get a solar panel on your cell phone." I don't think that doesn't sound cool or like feasible.
The article doesn't even explain anything about it.
No,
it doesn't. It's just like hypothetically in the future you could have a solar panel on your smartphone. That's all it says.
There's no way a solar panel on your cell phone could even benefit you at all, hardly, because your phone generates so much, like uses so much power. Like it would probably maybe like help out a fraction of a percent. Yeah, it'd probably be wasted space or wasted technology on your phone. Now on a remote control for your TV, thumbs up.
That's the future, Mike. That's the future we all want to live in.
Thumbs up on that, but yeah, I don't see the point of putting a solar panel glass on your phone. But on Windows, that I see the point of that. All right, let's jump into our final story. It's kind of an update on a story we covered a couple episodes ago, probably more than that. We've done more episodes than I realize.
This is only our second episode, Mike.
Oh, dang, you're right. No, we did a whole episode on Starlink from SpaceX, like Tesla's own company.
Yes.
And I don't know who owns what, but yeah, somehow Elon Musk does like SpaceX, Tesla, Starlink, all that. I don't know what the parent company is, if there is one, or if they're just owned separately. I don't know. But SpaceX just reached a milestone, and they broke the record for the most amount of satellites ever shot up at one time. 143 satellites were just flown up into space from one rocket.
Yeah, so they have like this rideshare program for satellites called SmartSat. SmallSat. Can't read my own writing. And it's like $1 million for up to 485 pounds to be launched into space. And so like companies that want to launch something into space but don't really want to do it themselves can pay
to ride
SpaceX
up there.
Yeah, to do it for them. So like there was, I know the Pentagon was supposed to have a couple, but they backed out because they got damaged. Starlink shot a couple of their own up. This company Celestis, they had human ashes shot up into space.
Yeah, all sorts of random stuff. But
yeah, so
you didn't. The reason why this is so groundbreaking is in the past, all these small satellites would have to pay either to get its own rocket to be sent up or like pay a lot of money to get on another company's rocket. And since SpaceX is doing this rideshare program, kind of like Uber for satellites, yeah, basically you can get it up to space a lot cheaper than you could ever do before. And these satellites are a lot smaller as well now.
Yeah, these aren't like the very huge satellites that are going up. These are the smaller ones that they can cram in together. But it's just showing you, well, because all these companies are talking about launching satellites into space, and this is going to just increase that.
Yeah, so this adds more Starlink satellites too. Yeah. So quick update on Starlink. I saw a video pop up on social. A guy got his kit and he connected up to it on his deck, and he was pulling up close to 100 megabits per second from his deck out in the boonies. So it's working, and that's awesome. Like that, people are going to be able to start living off the grid completely with good internet. Yeah, there's some cool implications there as well. Like eventually they could build receivers on cell phones. I think we talked about this in a previous episode, but yeah, you could get internet pretty much anywhere on the globe. So, yeah, the more of these satellites up there, I know, it could change everything.
And this is, did I read it was SpaceX third launch this year?
Yeah, and they're reusing rockets, all sorts of stuff.
So, like, the space, like, technology is just getting better. You're like, I don't know, I feel like we always thought this was going to happen, like, the 90s and, like, early 2000s and all. And now it's, like, finally happening.
Yeah.
That the technology's there and all these companies
It's so
are
cool,
involved.
it's almost like people don't even care anymore.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, SpaceX had another launch. Another episode of Simpsons when they're watching the space launch and they're like, oh, yeah, turn it off. It's so boring.
It's so, yeah, it used to be like everybody gathered, their whole family gathered to watch the astronauts go to the moon or whatever. But now it's like, oh, yeah, SpaceX had another launch. Okay, good job. Clap, clap, clap. But yeah, I think that's all the stories. But you said you had like a quick a game at the end of this episode.
Yeah, we just want to try to make this podcast more fun and not have Mike drone on and on about SpaceX all the time.
Boo.
So earlier in this podcast, we talked about a robot. So I'm gonna ask you some questions about robots, Mike.
Okay.
Well, not really robots, but like robots from movies, TV, and anything. So, Mike, if you could, who do you think the most useful robot to have around would be?
From movies, TV shows, whatever?
Yeah.
Probably the Jetsons robot. I don't remember
Rosie?
what was the name of Jetsons?
Isn't it Rosie?
Yeah, Rosie. Yeah. I would say Rosie just because she could do dishes and take care of the house chores, cooking, all that stuff.
I'm an R2-D2 man. I think he would be useful.
How would R2-D2 be useful? He might like beep at you. Like I guess he could filter your language. Like beep whenever you're cursing.
He can fix my spaceship for me and
yeah. I think out of all the robots, R2-D2 might be the most useless robot.
Nah, I think he'd be cool to hang out with.
Yeah, I can't get you behind you on this one. I mean, he's cute in the movies where he beeps and stuff, and he's like, it's funny to see him interacting with a talking robot, but he's more just a gimmick.
He gets a lot of stuff done.
I guess. Hey, he hacks stuff. Okay, there we go.
He has different tools he could use.
Yeah, it takes forever for him to like pull them out of his chest or whatever he does. I feel like whatever he does, you could just carry in a backpack computer and just plug into a computer system
but that
and
means
hack it
I
that
have
way.
to do it. The robot is the one that's doing it. I don't have to carry him around with me.
All right, what's your next one?
If you could hang out with any robot, who would it be?
Any robot?
Easy. Yeah.
Probably the robots from what's that movie that takes place in South Africa? It's made by District 9, the District 9 guy.
Chappie?
Yeah, Chappie. I'd hang out with Chappie just because he's like pretty colorful.
No, you got this one wrong. You hang out with Bender.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about Bender. Yeah. I would hang out with Bender.
Yeah.
But I feel like Bender would probably end up getting me in trouble or sending me to jail somehow. So.
Well, you're gonna do something that breaks the law.
Yeah.
If you're just hanging out, getting drunk,
yeah,
smoking.
yeah, I guess you'd have a good old time with Bender.
Yeah, if you're just one night, just hanging out with a robot.
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably be amusing at the very least. What's your next one, Alex?
Okay. I don't know how to word this question. I only have 3. If you had to go to the war with any robot, what would it be? Like, if you had one robot to have your back, who would you want to have your back?
Terminator.
It is the Terminator, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably.
He's a non-stop killing machine, right?
I mean, he moves so slow, but somehow he destroys everything. So, yeah, Terminator.
Yeah, because even like in the future ones, when the other Terminators get faster, or the other robots, he still gets them.
Yeah, he's outdated. He's outdated even for his time, but somehow he's supreme. Yeah, Terminator. I don't know if you'd count RoboCop as a robot, but if you do count RoboCop as a robot, then I would say RoboCop as a second.
I would say RoboCop for all three.
I shouldn't have brought up RoboCop. I know a new RoboCop would cloud your judgment, and you would just forget all other robots exist.
I was being unbiased, but
okay,
he's more of a cyborg.
Well, thanks, folks, for listening. You've been listening to The Future Jam. Obviously, we talked about that in the very beginning of this show. But you can follow us at on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places at The Future Jam, and send us an email message if you wanna, if you have some critique or like have an idea for the show at thefuturejam at gmail.com, and leave us a review on Apple. I haven't checked Apple in a while. I don't know if we've gotten any reviews lately, but we had some in there in the past. So I would love to see some reviews on there and see what we're doing, see how we're doing. Also, feel free to leave us a message at 513-BOT-COLA, and we'll play it on the show. And what are you laughing at, Alex?
No one's ever gonna call.
Hey, if you don't keep putting it out there, then of course nobody's gonna call. We got a phone call at one time from some guy from Oregon, and that got played on like 15 episodes ago, and then we took a 1.5 or 2 year hiatus, and we never addressed the guy's call. So I kind of feel bad for this dude, but it was such a complicated question. I would have had to go to college to answer him.
What people don't realize is the messaging Mike has is an old time answering machine. So every day Mike comes into his house, sees if it's blinking, and it's never blinking.
It even has like a little crank on it, so I have to crank it up and to make sure it's like running. No. So in your fantasy, I can't have a crank mechanismed answering machine.
When did you ever see one with a crank? No, that's
you never saw. You never watched an old movie where they have to crank it up to like make a phone call.
Yeah, that's to make a phone call, but like the answering machine was invented like in the 80s.
Okay, yeah, but this one's such a it conserves power that you actually have to crank this bad boy up so you don't use up any energy. No, okay. I'm that green at this house, Alex. You don't understand. Like, we don't use electricity here at all. Like, everything is basically hand cranked.
When I've been to your house, every light was on. You had those extra lamps that's turned on. You just had your fridge door wide open.
Don't expose me to the world, Alex.
Your dishwasher was just running with no dishes in there.
Full power.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you bought the products, why aren't you using them? You should have your stuff powered on at all times. Get the enjoyment you want out of your stuff. Like, I have everything plugged in. Everything. My mixer, my radio. That's pretty common. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you next week on the Future Jam Sports Edition.